Folks, and welcome back to the Star Wars Library, where Star Wars is in print, and we're talking about the last annual for the Marvel Star Wars series in this episode, annual number 3 from 1983 by Mary Jo Duffy. Now, this story is called The Apprentice, and again, as usual, you can find it in Fool's Bounty, Volume 5 of a long time ago in this collection here. So, here's the thing with this one. The art is dramatically different. It's a new artist, Klaus, I think it's Klaus. Klaus Janson is the artist and he's the colorist. Now the art is very, I don't think it's very good. It's not very detailed art. It's probably my least favorite art from the Marvel series. Just trying to get something to show you here of the art. For example, look at these faces in this panel. Not very good in my opinion. I think at some points in this story, there's a lot of good uses of color. I think the coloring and shades that he uses in certain scenes is very good. For example, I really like this first shot of Darth Vader and these Imperials in this panel here. But, I mean, here's the thing. Art for me is very important because it can be very distracting when you're reading a story, regardless of whether it's good or not. And the art is something that is maybe not very appealing. I do admit that it's unique. I haven't really seen any art like this, but it's kind of like Cam Kennedy. But where I grew to really appreciate Cam Kennedy's art, Klaus Janson, aside from his coloring and color choices, his pencils I'm just not that keen on. But we're not here to criticize the art. Let's talk about the story. So the story is not bad. It's okay. There's this guy named Flint, and he's trying to find his friend named Barney. Now, every time I think of Barney, or the name Barney, I think of How I Met Your Mother, or Barney the Dinosaur, the Kid Show. I'd like to think of Neil Patrick Harris as Barney, but I don't know. It's always the name that comes to my head. So they meet up, and they end up encountering this group of rebels that have landed. Sure enough, the rebels are Luke, Leia, Lando, Chewie, and the droids. And they're trying to see if there's been these rumors of this Imperial operation that's happening here, and they're basically trying to see, like, hey, look, is this legit? Is this happening? Is this reality? So Flint and Barney see that Luke is a Jedi, and they ask him, like, are you a Jedi? And Luke goes, no, not yet, but my father was a Jedi, and they're like, who is your father? Or, and all that. And Luke, remember, this is fresh after, or somewhat freshly after, Luke's encounter with Darth Vader on Bespin. So Luke lies and says, no, he wasn't, he really wasn't that big of a deal. He was more so a navigator on a spice freighter. So he's lying here. But remember, Leia and Lando and all them don't even know. R2-D2 knows, but he's been keeping his mouth shut, obviously. And so Luke is just keeping that to himself for right now. So basically, the boys, they ally themselves with the rebels. They ally to help them, and this battle ensues with on this AT-AT factory. So there's some really cool shots here. Like, this is another one of the pieces of art that I really like, especially with the colors. I think it's very good. So basically, Flint finds during this battle, he finds that his mother has been killed, and so he's mourning her at this factory, and so he's actually found by Darth Vader. And yes, and basically Flint is reacting to this. He's very emotional by this, and Vader starts to have some sympathy towards Flint. Now remember, if you go back to Attack of the Clones, Anakin Skywalker, that was one of his big turning points. That was one of the big catalysts not the catalyst, but a factor in what led him to the dark side. All those actions on Tatooine. And so, as Anakin, he went through this whole big thing that was, a huge, impact on him. And so, as Vader, he sympathizes with Flint. He sympathizes with him because he can relate to the fact of, having, especially because his mom was really the only family he had pre-Padme, Leia, and Luke. So when his mom dies, he's losing, basically his only family, and so he can relate to Flint, and he sympathizes with him. And so he asks Flint to aid the Empire, to join the Empire, to aid him, and he can help him. So he doesn't become a secret apprentice of Vader. This isn't like a Star Killer from the Force Unleashed or anything like that. This is he ends up becoming a stormtrooper, and so the story ends with him like putting on the helmet and he's marching up on his transport. And it's a very it's a very kind of an emotional thing. And again, it's really cool to see how this moment, especially from back in 1983, relates to a movie that was made in 2002, or was released in 2002, I should say. So for me as a big as a big Darth Vader fan and Anakin Skywalker fan, it was really cool to see Vader, kind of see a little bit of his Anakin Skywalker persona emerge from Vader. And again, it just helps show that Anakin is not truly gone. However, though, getting back, I guess, into the placement of this, if you buy this trade, and I think it's also the same in the omnibus version of this as well, the placement in this trade is very strange. They placed it between the Hoth stuff and the Con, and I think it was more so because of the publishing dates with this. It's just very weird because, again, remember, during the Hoth stuff is filler, but the fact is that Luke and Leia are split off from the rest of the crew, or the rest of the group. So they're split off. They come together in The Apprentice, which is the annual 3. And then the next issue is the Big Con, and we see that they're separated again. So it's kind of jarring. I remember the first time I read this, because I read it through the trade, and it was very jarring to see, like, okay, wait a second, what's going on? Chronologically, this would come a little bit later, not really during, or even potentially a little earlier. It's kind of, a little iffy there, I think, of where it could exactly go. I think it's a little bit later. But again, it's just kind of jarring. It's like, I thought you guys were on another adventure. Why are you placing here? Again, I think it was more so put here in the sequencing because of publishing, but that's just me. So, is this an essential read? I think it is for Marvel readers. For Marvel readers, it definitely is, because due to retcons, this introduces a big story arc. I did forget to mention too that Barney joins the rebellion, and so Barney will show up in more Marvel stories down the line. So it does set up future characters and a big arc. So for Marvel readers, this is definitely an essential read. For modern, it's up to you. But this is definitely an essential read for Marvel readers. Highly, highly encourage that you check it out. Story's not bad, but it's not amazing, but it's not terrible. The art, I'm not a fan of it, but again, I can acknowledge that there are some good aspects of it. So anyways, folks, that's all the time I have for today, and I will see you next time with another episode of the Star Wars Library.